Alright, cool. I'm AJ Cannon. I play guitar for Oak Grove Worship here at Oak Grove Church in Jarasco, Arkansas. And I've been kind of wanting to do this for a while, but I was just waiting to get my pedal board solid, everything wired up good. I just recently rewired everything. Got just a solid setup, everything that I want, all there. We're going to talk about pedal board, of course, guitars, and my amp. And I'll show you a little bit how I use everything. Let's get right to it. I built this pedal board. It's just wood and Velcro. It's fairly solid. I'm proud of myself for it. I mean, you can beat it around. If I was out touring or traveling around or getting it in and out of a car all the time or something, I might have to do something different. But for right now, this is solid. It pretty much just sits here. It travels a little bit, but we don't play that many other places very often. So mainly just sits here at church. We'll go under here and take a quick look at the power supplies and whatnot. Oh gosh, I'm gonna break a slide. I use these Kaolin Pedal Power 5s, if I can focus. I haven't had a problem with them. They're lower end. They're pretty cheap. They're like $50 a piece. And you can watch reviews on them. I'm not gonna review them right now, but I'll just tell you they're solid. They do the trick. I've got all my quit unfocusing. I've got all these cables color coded to their pedals. They're color coded on this end, and they're color coded on the connection on the other end, and then the pedal is color coded, so I can diagnose a problem really quick. Everything is zip tied, taped together, and I run it around these hooks. Oh, look right there. Just to keep everything kind of tight. You don't want everything flopping around, hitting the ground, and dragging and wobbling around, coming loose. You don't want it super tight either. It's just solid. It keeps enough tension that stuff isn't wiggling. You don't want stuff wiggling around. We'll turn these lights back on. And these lights go out if there's a malfunction somewhere. But anyway, the pedal powers are color coded to their adapters over here. Once again, just helps me diagnose a problem. That adapter's for my delay pedal. And those power supplies run through this little locking hook here, and they're zip tied together, kind of just like a big snake that goes out to my power strip. This works for me. I know you can. There's a lot of other things you can do as far as wiring up. There's all kinds of different power out there, so just kind of find what works for you. For right now, this is fine for me. I don't mind plugging in 2 or 3 different adapters. Alright, talk to you just a second about cables and signaling. Repeat after me. Buy good cables. Please, buy good cables. You're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of trouble. I mean, originally, I had all the multicolored Chinese garbage, on the board. I had the EQ on my amp at like treble on 7. I had the mids like dumped. I had the bass dumped, just trying to get a bright sound. Didn't know why I had to EQ the amp like that. Got good cables, plug everything in, and the amp is like so much louder, so much clearer, breaks up better. I mean, so much of a difference, so much clarity when you use better cables. Basically on my amp, okay, I'll just tell you real quick. I won't show you the amp, but Carvin Nomad 50 watt, the vintage series by Carvin. All tube. It's got 2 channels, dirty channel, clean channel. I use the dirty channel. It's got a reverb in it. I run it on like 1.5 just to kind of smooth things over, especially if I'm not using the reverb. It's just nice to just have that. It's just a little bit of a room reverb sound. EQ basically straight up right now. I adjust it as per the day, but the EQ basically straight up all the time. Drive on like 1.5 depending on the day, and that's like, it breaks up pretty quick, so that's where that stays. Volume about 3.5. We don't mic amps, I'll get that out there. Probably lost a lot of credibility there, but we don't have professional sound men. We've got got a pretty small church, pretty small room, 100, 150 people max. And the sound men, they want to touch as little as possible on the board. They're scared of it, So we run as little to the board as possible, and guitar is just something we can cut down on. We can't run them real loud, of course, because they're just right back here, back on the back of the stage. So we got to cut the stage volume. We've got to have a decent level in the congregation without blowing people's heads off. Lava cable in, lava cable out. I got the retro coil coming in. I've got a vintage Tweed coming out, gold tip, soldered, really good cables by Lava Cable. All the patch cables are George L's cables. The George L's, they come in a kit where you customize the length and you screw the connectors on yourself. They're really solid, and you can make them whatever length you want. And you want your signal length to be as short as possible, especially if you're not using a bypass looper. If you use a bypass looper, you still want to keep your cables as short as possible, but you don't have to go through every pedal. You don't have to go through all the cables. You're just, you're going in and out of a pedal to the bypass looper. So I got 20 feet of cable coming in. I got 15 feet of cable coming out, and I got all the patch cables. You've got to keep the signal length as short as possible. So that's why the custom cables are really good. But I come into this. This one's mine. That's the company, T1M. Dan Burgess. Check out his website. Great Christian guy, really big in the worship community. Cool gadgets, buffers, switchers. He makes a couple drive pedals. Good prices on the stuff. He's a really honest guy. He'll make you anything if he's able to do it. He makes units to control your strumming and eventide units and tap tempos and just all kinds of cool stuff. If you need something like that, you got to give him a call. But this is basically a line selector with a volume cut on the blue channel. I run two different guitars, two main guitars. One has P90s. One has just like Strat single coil. It's this guitar that I'm about to play. P90s are a little bit more humbucker-ish. They're single coil, but they're humbucker-ish. They're a little louder. They break the amp up a little bit more. And that's what I use this pedal for. So the Strat is on the red channel, which is there's no volume cut, nothing. It's just straight to the amp. The blue is the P90 guitar, which I've got the volume cut on. Makes all your pedals react the same and your amp react the same, depending on which guitar you're using. You don't have to adjust anything. Everything stays the same. It's just the tonal differences of the guitars, just whatever. It's a really cool thing to have on your board if you're running two different outputs on your guitars. So we're on red channel here. I'll give you the clean signal real quick. I run a little bit dirty, not super dirty, just breaking up a little bit. Find somebody you like, figure out what they're using, figure out how they run stuff. You're not going to sound just like them ever, but they just give you really good ideas. I like Jeffrey Cundy from Jesus Culture. I kind of run a similar setup as he would, different pedals, but same idea. And as the amp is a little bit dirty, he runs his quite a bit dirty. Amp is a little dirty, pedals boost. So I'm not going from clean to overdrive with the touch of a pedal. I've already got overdrive. If I want to be a little quieter, I can strum on it. So I can be clean, I can be a little dirty. Boost pedal. Since we're not micing amps, I can't set my amp backstage and crank it up and let it eat. I've got to keep it a little bit quiet. So the boost pedal allows me to get that kind of pushed amp over the top tone and just the EQ of what a pushed amp sounds like without having to push the amp. So I'll let you hear that. It just kind of gives you a little bit high end. It just like a pushed amp would sound if it was pushed. So that's why I use that. I'll leave it on all the time. And just so you know, I'm mic'd with a single SM57 and recording into FL Studio 12, just in case you were wondering. Okay, now we're going to go into from the Pure Boost, we're going to the Electro Harmonics Soul Food, which is just kind of a transparent, it's like a vintage overdrive. It's first stage for me. Like I said, I leave the Pure Boost on all the time, then we go to the Soul Food. So this is what that sounds like. So breaking up a little bit more, just kind of a transparent, just first stage. I use that maybe on choruses. I use it when I need to be a little bit louder, just to boost things a little bit. That's all my first stage does. And I'm also on pickup position 2 on the Strat, so like 1 up from the bottom, in case you didn't know what that meant. Okay. Second stage drive, Sparkle Drive by Voodoo Lab. Really cool pedal because it's got gain, tone, it's got a clean mix, and it's got your volume. And since I'm just using my pedals mainly just to boost, I've got the clean on it's at like 1 o'clock, which is 12 would be 50-50 original signal and affected signal. And I've got it on like 1 o'clock, so it's turned towards the clean side a little bit. So I've got basically gain, tone, and clean are all on like 1 o'clock, and the volume's on like 10:30. So here's what that sounds like. Oh gosh, did I just whack something? Okay, anyway, really cool pedal because of that clean knob. You can use it any way you want to. You can use it as a clean boost. You can use it really dirty. You can get a lot of different tones out of it. Cool pedal. Anyway, then we go third stage, Touch Drive. Once again, Dan Burgess. This one's mine. Cool pedal, really drivey. I didn't think it was going to be this drivey, and it's not when you turn the gain down, but I've got the gain, or the drive, on like 8:45. It's not quite 9 o'clock. Volume pointed at V, probably like 11:30, and the shine is the S, which is the lower knob, which is kind of just like a top boost kind of treble tone like knob. It's also got these clipping options on the switch over here. I run it in the middle position so that it's not in effect. It's just the pedal, and the shine's about straight up. So pretty gainy, third stage drive. I'll use that mainly just for like single noting stuff. So if something I would single note. You just get it sings more, you know. So, if I'm driving something like that on a chorus, or I want to jump out in front of the band, I can throw that on. And that maybe is a little bit drivier than I normally would have it. I don't know if I usually have it that gainy. From there, I go into the POG. And now pedal order, this is how I think about pedal order. I want each pedal, or like, say, okay, the POG. Some people will put them before, this is really personal preference. The POG, people would put before their drive, some people would. I put it after because I'm like, I want to add octaves to the driven signal. I don't want to drive the octavized signal. I want to octavize the drive signal. So a easier way to think about it would maybe be with delays. Delay and reverb last because I want to delay the overdrive. I want to delay all the effects before there. Then reverb, I want to reverb the delays as well. So reverb would go after delay, if maybe that makes sense. Each pedal is affected by the pedals before it. Therefore, if I had my delay pedal first, it would be delaying the clean signal, and then I would be overdriving the delay. So if that's what you're going for, that's what you're going for. But to me, it makes a lot more sense, and I think it would sound better to put the delay pedal after. Anyway, go to the POG, which POG adds an octave. You probably know what a POG does. It can add low and high octave. I keep the dry signal all the way on. Sub-octave is at like 9 o'clock, octave up at like 11. And I really just use it to jump out in front of something, to single note something. So that line I was playing a while ago. So you can hear a little bit of octave there. You add a drive to it. It's pretty subtle, so I just it kind of boosts me over the top. If I've already got a drive going, I don't want to go up a stage of drive, and I'm single noting something, I might just throw on the Pog. So it's not like a noticeable like organ sound like you can get out of it. It's just a subtle, boosty kind of sound. Quickly, I go from there into the buffer. I don't know why I had the buffer in the middle of the chain. I tried it in some different places, and that's just where I liked it. If you don't know what a buffer does, it's basically like a turbo boost for your signal. So it makes the most sense for me for my signal to get to the middle, where it would be like at its weakest, and then speed it back up, and by the time it gets to the amp, it's back to kind of how it was. In my opinion, that's how I look at it. Some people put them first, some people put them last. I just like the idea of the middle, and I like how it sounds in the middle. So go to the buffer, speeds up the signal, which then goes into the volume pedal, which this is an Ernie Ball VP Jr. The buffer is this one's mine, Mini Buffer. A lot of people use it, research it. Cool buffer, and it's like $40. Can't really go wrong with that. You can go on and on for days about tones suck and blah 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 about this pedal. I don't notice a problem. I don't use the tuner out because it does make sense that would suck the tone, but mostly because I just want to have my tuner at the end of the chain, so I have like a master mute. If something was to go wrong, I don't have the tuner out of the loop where I don't have any ways of muting besides cutting the volume pedal, because technically something could go wrong after the volume pedal, and you would still have the signal going to the amp. So, I mean, just hypothetically, say my delay like glitched up or something and was sending some type of continuous signal to the amp. I couldn't do anything with the volume pedal because it's before the delay. So if I've got mute at the end, I can hit tuner. I'm muted completely all the time. No, I mean, it's just I like to use it as a mute. So, tuner at the end of the chain. Don't use the tuner out. Want it in the chain. Volume pedal. Okay. Going from the volume pedal into TC Electronic Nova Delay. I'm going to try really hard not to review these pedals. If you want a review of a pedal, please let me know and I'll be glad to do it, because I love my 2 delay pedals and my reverb pedal. But the reason I got this pedal, it has everything that I want in a delay pedal. It's got modulation. It's got a tap tempo. It's got different styles of delays that are really cool. It's got a ping pong mode if I was to run stereo amps, and it's got dual delay modes where you've got the quarter note and eighth note both going at the same time. It's got a couple different it's got 3 different double delay modes, so it's really cool. Tap tempo is really important for me. We don't use a click track because we don't have in-ear monitors. Probably just lost more credibility. But the thing is, if you're running a delay, everybody kind of falls in time to it. So, and if we get off, you can always tap tempo it. But here's what the delay pedal sounds like. So, delay pedal on. I'll play that same line I was playing earlier. You can do basically whatever you can do with one of the big units. But a little cheaper, quite a bit cheaper, especially if you get it used. Only 9 presets, smaller footprint on your board. Cool delay, really like it. Delay is always awesome. I'm running a delay pretty much 99% of the time. If I crank it off, I don't know why I am. I leave it on almost all the time, depending on the song. Oh, I had reverb on too by accident there. Anyway, from there, secondary delay. It's cool to have a secondary delay. You can have another setting if you want to do it that way, but this is the Ibanez Echo Shifter. ES2, I believe. Awesome pedal. Might be my favorite pedal on the board that I haven't explored enough yet. But it's a pitch shifter as well as a delay. So basically, you can shift the pitch of your notes. You can see the delays will be, the pitch of them will be shifted when you do that. not that useful of a function all the time, but you can do cool stuff, especially with the oscillation mode. Won't show you that right now either. If you want to review that pedal, I would definitely do. I love that pedal. It's not expensive. It does lots of cool stuff. It's got tap tempo. It's got modulation. It's got oscillation. Fully customizable sound. Analog delay. Darker sound. I mainly use it for ambient stuff, swells. I leave the tempo somewhere in there all the time. You can see where the tap tempo is blinking. And it's just because it's analog delay, it's darker, it stays behind everything. It doesn't muddy up. It's not a clear sound. It just kind of washes. I'll just show you how I do it. And I usually leave my other delay on too, if it doesn't make it sound too muddy. So it's delaying into a delay, and for a swell, you get cool sounds. So you can hear the kind of wishy-washy behind it. That's what you get with the analog delay. Going to the reverb pedal. Cloud9 Reverb by Sky Pedals. They don't make it anymore. I sought after it for a long time. JHS Pedals, I guess, bought this pedal out. They make the JHS Alpine. Supposedly the same pedal. It's got an extra knob. I'm not sure what that extra knob does. Anyway, it's a 2-channel reverb, and you've got your reverb on the left-hand side, and you've got the two sides share the middle settings, which is trails and highs. And your trails is obviously the length of your reverb. The highs is the treble. It's the sparkling top end of it. And so basically, your reverb knob on the left side and your reverb knob on the right side, called the shift knob, only control like the mix level, which I thought, that's kind of a iffy deal. I didn't know if I would like my presets being basically the same reverb sound. But when you crank the volume up, you just get, or on this side, you get this, modulaty kind of stuff that I like to use for swells and stuff like that. And the left side, I like to use a big reverb and just tuck the mix. So on the right side, it sounds like this, or the left side. So you can hear that reverb back there. It's big. It's a hall reverb that lasts a while, and it modulates a little bit, but it's tucked back. So initially on the note, that reverb's there, but it dies quickly. So then when I kick in this other side over here, the volume's higher on it. Really cool pedal. And I'll show you what that might sound like with some delay. Why is that like that? Whoa. We'll do like Ever Be by Bethel, if you know that song. When we play that one, I leave the. See, I'm going analog, pretty much straight up. Well, no, more to the digital side of the delay. Got modulation probably on like 75%. Mix level and feedback pretty low. I'll turn this off to here. Okay, so pretty low, but you add this reverb, you can play the song. The reverb just, you can bump the feedback up a little bit here, and maybe a little higher mix. That reverb, it's a great reverb. I can't say enough about it. If you want a full rundown of that one, I'll give one to you on that too, because I think that's a great pedal. It's maybe underrated, just because there's hardly any out there. Tuner Korg Poly Tune. It's called the Pitchblack Poly. Really cool to have a poly tuner where what that means is you can strum all the strings and it shows you all of them at once. So if you're playing and you're like, ooh, something's nasty, and you get to a part of the song when you can tune, kick in the tuner, strum your strings, okay, it's that string, then you can go down and get your individual string, tune it, kick it back in really quick. So anyway, that's the rig. I hope you liked the video. I hope you enjoyed my idioticness. I hope you enjoyed getting to see how you can do stuff kind of yourself and get something pretty solid. Buy good cables. Follow me on Instagram if you want to. I'll put my name up here somewhere. Subscribe to me on YouTube. DM me on Instagram. Send me an email. Comment on this video. Tell me something else you want to see. Tell me what you think. I know it was too long. I know I'll catch some grief. I don't care. I'm having a good time. Thanks for watching.